My name is Sarah, and I am now 35 years old. I had my birthday this month, so and my diagnosis was on June 1st, 2022. And yeah, my life changed a lot since that day. I have a lot of support, but also not enough, maybe, because it's considered an old man's disease still, which is really not correct anymore because a lot of young people have it. But yeah, it's been a roller coaster for me. So I'm very young still. I have a son. He's 6 years old. So I still have a lot of work. I have a house. I have a job. So I can't just lay on the couch all day. And yeah, so that's my general story. And I would like to help others be aware of this. I started having symptoms, I think, around a year before my diagnosis. Visible symptoms, that is, because I think I had it for a longer time, but your mind is not thinking, oh, I have Parkinson's, because like no one knows it's affecting young people as well. But my first symptom was a tremor in my left hand, and I just thought it was stress because I had a stressful job at that time, and so I didn't think anything of it. I just let it slide. But then my arm swing on the left side disappeared, and I was always holding my arm like this. And but still, I thought, yeah, it's maybe just a pinched nerve or just stress still. So I didn't go to the doctor. But then after a few months, my left leg started like walking funny, dragging my left foot. And then I thought, this is all going on the left side of my body. Maybe there's something wrong in my brain, or maybe it's a pinched nerve in my back or something. So I went to my doctor, and he immediately suggested a brain scan because he thought it was MS. So I got really scared because, like, oh, MS, that's like a serious illness. And they did the brain scan, but it came out clear. So then I was really relieved, like, this is nothing serious. This is really going to be just a pinched nerve or really just something that's in my head, maybe. I was so convinced that it would be nothing. I wasn't worried at all. I told all my friends, don't worry, I don't even lie awake of this. I think it'll be fine. And then they kept searching, and he forwarded me to a neurologist, and she said it was signs of Parkinson's. But I was like, no, I don't have anyone in my family who has this, and I don't think I have this. It's for old people. So I took the TAT scan. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but they did the scan, and then I had to go back for the result on June 1st. And I remember I was just at work. It was just a normal work day for me. And I said to my boss, I'm just going to quickly go to the hospital for my result, and then I come back. So I went there alone. I thought it would be fine. Just another test that would come back negative. And I got in the office and I sat down and I was really nervous, but because she gave me like a look that she was nervous. And she said, "Yeah, you had the TET scan." I said, "Yes, I did," and I already heard her say in my head, "So it's clear, it's fine." And then she said, "It's you have Parkinson's," and I was like, she put the box of tissues at my face, and I was like crying, and I was like, yeah, what does it even mean? Well, what is Parkinson's? How do you cure it? And what does this mean for my future? I have a child. She's 6 years old. And she said, well, this and that. She explained a bit, but I was alone and I was really in awe of all this. So I didn't really hear what she was saying. Maybe I should have brought my partner to it, but I didn't. So I just went through all this. And then I left. I got out of her office crying. And I remember everyone in the waiting room just staring at me like, oh, she didn't get good news. And I walked outside the hospital and I just sat there on the sidewalk and I called my mom to tell her. And she was like, "Oh my God, I'm coming to pick you up." I said, "No, mom, I'm here with the bike of my work, so I have to drive back to work first, and then maybe I'll go home." But I drove back and I was like working, but my boss came up to me, he said, "And how did it go?" I said, yeah, it's not good. They found out that I have Parkinson's, and he was like, well, shouldn't you go home? But I was like still denying it. I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm just going to work. And then I just stopped and I went home because I couldn't focus. And then I called my partner and I said it, and he was like, yeah, he was in shock too because he didn't expect this. Uh, and that's how we found out. So really, the moment of the symptoms and the moment of diagnosis was like only a few months. So it happened all so fast. Normally, it takes years to diagnose someone with Parkinson's, but mine just happened really fast. So it was for like being from someone healthy to someone with a serious illness. So it was really, I had to process everything. Took me a while to do that. I still haven't processed everything, I think. Changed a lot, but I'm still really, I consider myself still in denial because I kept working. There's not a moment that I stayed home since I got this diagnosis. I worked from June till December just full time still. But then in December, I my doctor really obligated me to stay home for a while because I was really crashing. It was all too much, and I had to allow myself to process this and just take some rest because I was still going at the same pace that I have always gone, and it was backslapping me. It was like I couldn't cope anymore, and I should have just did it immediately after diagnosis, just stay home for a few months, but I didn't. And that's what I felt in December. So I stayed home for 6 weeks, and then in January I just went back to work partially, so 4 days instead of five. And I'm still doing that way now. But and the rest of all things, I still work out. I still do everything in the household. It's still too much, but I'm desperately trying to find a balance in that. My social life is has been put on hold quite a while now. I rarely go out. I try to avoid crowded places because I feel ashamed a lot. Because my walk is really funny when I'm under medicated or I have off periods a lot and I'm very slow. Also, the parking spaces are very far, and I haven't got a card to park in the spaces where they're closer for people with disability. So they're still working on that. But if I have to walk far, then I just say I'm not coming. So it's really affecting everything. The playing with my son, playing soccer outside, I can't walk properly. So everything is just put on hold. That's how it feels. It's like I have to say goodbye to this person I was, and there's a new person now. So trying to, but I still put my work before my health. So I need to work on that. I know this, but I'm trying to figure it all out, and I search for other people who have it, how they balance it, and what because it's different when you're like 60 years old and you can sit all day, or you can just put your health really first. But my son comes first. My job is important. Yeah, I'm still so young, so I don't have the advantage of doing whatever I can. My time is limited, unfortunately, and I have to work with what I got, so I do my best. But sometimes I need to put a break on myself to just rest and take a deep breath and then accept days that are bad, accept the days where I just can't move. And I have a hard time doing that. So I go over my limits a lot, and that's what bothers me because I can't do that anymore, but I still do it because I'm a little bit stubborn maybe, but I text every day with someone around the world. I have friends in Australia, America. It's really heartwarming to see how many people reach out to you when you have these diagnoses. I'm not a big fan of social media, but that's really a plus on the social media because you have so much network all over the world. And I think it's the most things I do is I like alone time, and I sometimes go for a walk when I can to just clear my head and just accept it for what it is and then just make the best of it because I still have a long life to live and It's unpredictable, but we make the most of it, and that kind of comforts me to know that there are people like me more and more, unfortunately. And yeah, we'll figure it out together. So I think it will be fine. I just have to learn from other people how they do it. But I have a lot of ambitions that I want to do in terms of Parkinson. I thought maybe I should write a book of my story or just note everything down, and I do that because maybe someday it will help other people. I try to write down. I already wrote poems. So I did it all my life. I keep them in my notes on my phone. I don't. No one knows this, and no one reads them. But just do it for myself. Whenever I feel like I can't talk to anyone, I can't express my feelings. I put down notes that are in my head. Just sentences. They're not really good to read, but they're just out of my head. So yeah, I do that, and maybe someday I can put them together and like make a book out of it or something. But yeah, it helps me a lot. So the thing that keeps me going is my son, definitely. He's the one I've been fighting for. So that's the number one. And I think just grateful for Parkinson's as well, because having trouble with your health is like really eye-opening in one way, that you get more perspective on things, you appreciate things more, little things, and you never take things for granted anymore. So that's a thing that I learned having an illness like this. Thinking about stupid stuff, I can really I can think like, that's not a problem. That's just inconvenience or something. I can put everything so good in perspective now. It's just, yeah, there are people in the world that have it way worse than me. So especially now with the war and everything, I think like I have a roof on my head. I have a loving family. I think about that, and then it comforts me. Like, is it really that bad? Yeah, it's bad, but I'm not dying. I'm just slowly fading a bit. Definitely, I think I would want to bring more awareness on it. Just maybe record myself a little more in the off moments, but I'm not there yet. I just feel ashamed still, but that will fade away and I will do it. But I think people have a lot of misunderstanding with this disease, and that's really frustrating for me because you can tell someone, oh, you have Parkinson's, and at first they are shocked, but now it's like 1.5 year after diagnosis, they're like, oh, yeah, it's Sarah and she has Parkinson's. They're so used to it, but I'm still processing it and I'm still not used. I don't get used to it. For me, it's like an everyday struggle. For them, it's like, oh, she has it. And they don't really understand what this disease impacts me. Like, they don't know the full effect of it, like in my head, also the visible symptoms, but also the non-motoric symptoms. They're very seriously, and people don't see that. And that's what I want to work towards, that they really understand that it affects like everything in your life, your social life, everything you do. And that's really frustrating for me sometimes. Also at work, they don't always understand, and that's really hard because you don't want to get special treatment, but you do want a little more space because you're not normal anymore. So took my driver's license. I now get it for 1 year and then they extend it every time. But those are all little things, but it has a major impact on your mental health. Like in your mindset, it's like a slap in the face always. You get from being normal to being disabled in a few months, and that's really a lot to process. And I would love to help other women or people with this problem because I know how it feels and it's really hard. I just say try to keep your head up, although it's really hard right now. The glass is always half full. You still have a lot of things to do. You still can do a lot of things. It's just we have to limit it a bit, but just do the things you love and don't stop being you. You're just rediscovering yourself. That's how I see it.